àsìkò tó yá Ọlọ́run òun ni a ṣe yẹn. Tí kì bá ṣe pé Ọlọ́run bá kọ́lé náà kọ́lé ṣe lásán. 10 years and over, we started the next line of action about the man barrister, about Fiji music, and the future of Fiji music. A lot has been put in place. Permit me also to say a big thank you to the brain behind Fuji and Opera, who happens to be my partner in the newfound direction to place Fiji music where it rightly and truly belongs. So many faces that might not like Wasiu. It's very, very unfortunate. You might not like me, but you can't change the will of God on my person. But it would rather be better you like me and you join hand with me to search for a better thing. Not only to the man Wasiu, to those before Wasiu, the man who established this, the man who is a pathfinder, the man who created opportunity for those of us doing and enjoying today to have a forum where we can say we are practicing our trade. Ever since I started as a jewelry, then to the Fuji really, I started professionally when I was 15. And if I do not know calculation, I am 65 just a few days back. And I can see I've put in 50 years of my life. And if you don't want to see anything good in that, I see something beautiful in that. So I glorify Almighty God. There has never been a time me and my late boss ever share any animosity. No of that. Number one. Number two, and I stand to be corrected among entertainers, with the exception of Baba Ibn Saobi. I think I am the most closer person as a musician in the same act with him during his lifetime till date. I've served him gloriously. I learned a lot of rudiments of that business from him, and that pushes me forward today to be able to adjudge the very best in the life of Fiji music. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister first Colloquium. Glory be to God Almighty. That, either dead or living, Sikiru Ayinde Barrister will be the first musician, entertainer that the word Colloquium will be used for. That means it's called another first. It's called another first, and this shall continue and shall outlive the years of those that started it. Another thing of note before we go to the business of today is to tell you in the last 2 years what we've been able to achieve. When we started, I haven't waited 10 years. Why did we wait 10 years? We wait 10 years because there are a lot of ideas here and there. We need to sample, collect words from people. We need to seek knowledge from those that are very, very important in the trade of entertainment, arts, and culture, to be able to define a mode of what we should be doing to celebrate an enigma. Someone you believe no other thing can surpass him, to over-describe about the person. So it took me a longer time to seek support here and there. I called professionals, learned people, the fellows. I called majority of his personal people, whom he never met during his lifetime, but they are darling of his music and his work. We sit down many times. I crisscross the world. Those of them in abroad, I find time to speak to them on the phone when it's necessary. We go to see each other. I seek advice from people, and I waited on my time. So that is the journey, the first 10 years journey. And it's today I come out to say that 10 years wait really worth it. Because by the time we step out, our first showing after the 10th year prayer at his residence, the headquarters of Fuji, a place he had already chosen for himself while he was alive, Fuji Chamber. Immediately after we rose from that prayer of that time, we set the ball rolling. We set the ball rolling and we started in management. That took us to the Alliance to say, Akadenoga House at Ikoyi. This is where we first begin the journey. Symposium was organized and we do a lot of showing. We showcase names, very many names. Many people don't even know they exist in this journey of music. Right from Ajiwere, what is Ajiwere, what is Ajisari, up till this point that we find ourselves. And it gladdens my heart to see that all these things is not something I could just sit in my sitting room and come up with without me calling other people, other participants to come in and join up with me. So to some ill's mind, you don't want to misstep, you don't listen, or you don't look into what critics sometimes has to say. They might be there to use it as a tactic to change your mind. They might be there to finish you completely, not to be able to have anything to do. So at the end of the day, permit me to welcome one of our living fathers who is just walking in. A man we hope one day a thing like this will be set for him too. Alaji Colloquium Ayinde. I welcome him. Why we take a little time to welcome him? So let me continue. So we start the ball rolling at the Alliance and we showcase many things. Symposium, showing, and other things follows. Many artists were born. Fuji musician, I think it's now the best of the time for all of you, wherever you might be, to recheck yourself and tap the inner part of you to wake up from slumber and rise in defense of what is truly yours that have been done to better the Lord and the image. While Ayinde Barrister was alive, I took up the challenge to be the one that puts many things together. I remember calling a meeting. That time, used my relationship with many young artists at that time. And with Alaji Colloquium on our side, minus Ayinde Barrister, at first, we sat down somewhere at the Yorubas in Ibadan to fashion out a way of coming together, all of us. And that gave room to me getting home the next day to jumpstart what is now known as the running format, Fuji Museum Association of Nigeria. I did the writing of the document with my personal lawyer, Shola Bidap. I think Mr. Bidap was here. And Torayo, my secretary, do the typing. And Sikiru was the one supervising and giving some ideas where it's necessary. And we fashioned out a constitution. We checked on Nigerian constitution, Nigerian Barrister constitution, and very many other constitutions of our association working and striving well to bring out something to fashion out a better future for our journey of music. That is my journey way back then. And after that, we came out with a document that we have to approach the corporate affairs to register and do very many things, which I did. While I was writing the constitution, I did not infuse any words. I did not con any words. I did not put in dangerous words that will say Wasiu is taking credit away from Barrister, or Wasiu is doing any course or is starting any new course in the course of Fiji music. Nothing was written. Nothing was incriminately done to either fix myself. I'm only doing my work for the man I love. I want to surprise him all my life. I want to keep showing him reason why he should believe I am loyal to his person. And I'm glad to God Almighty. I have achieved that. When we go, we register Fuma, and it becomes what it is, the journey so far. Now, permit me also to thank the presence of my brother, Idris Olonibe, the Temple Organization. The support and push you gave me over the years, the result of it, first stage, is what we are seeing now again. I thank you immensely, Idris. God shall lead you, all your ways shall be open. Thank you so very much. In all, we have the next stage. The next stage is to get in touch with the leadership of our country, to have a proclamation, to have a declaration, to declare two things for us. To declare Sikiru Ayinde Barrister is the man, and to also declare Fuji is the only indigenous African music that stays, that comes to open up a new and opportunity. And the leadership has agreed. So, let all my detractors, let everybody getting angry anywhere, let them rest assured that it's either you join the train now, so that we will all take and share the credit in the end, or you will continue to wait in there. I'm not going to beg anybody, but I can only speak to your mind, so that you know, if we all agree in that, Barrister has gone. One day Wasiu will go. Several of you two will go. But those who will leave this living for will have a document. We have something. The people that started this country, that has gone, the record is there. The people that started America, that has gone, the record is there. I think America is on the 45th or 46th president. Someone started, he took #1 position. So that is what life is all about. The present president of Nigeria is not the first president of Nigeria. So leadership changes and life continues. So the only way you can make an impact in life is when you join hands with others to prepare a better book that will contain your name. Having successfully convinced the leadership that shall be proclaimed in a short while, I have the joy to announce to you such proclamation will be made, citation will be set, Barrister will be set aside. Upon the fact that it's MFR, a day will be set aside to celebrate Barrister and celebrate joy of Fuji, the music Fuji. And that will conclude my first stage of immortalizing the word, the Fuji, the joy of Fuji, and the man Sikiru Ayinde Barrister. Thank you very much. I give thanks to all our discussants today, people that have been deliberating on the issue we put forward. I thank you all for coming, wherever you might come from. I thank you, and the journey has just begun. Thank you.
who have not heard that song, that's my new song. It's coming out next week. I've been working on it for so many years, but finally. For you like the song, Abi? And you don't I'd like to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one of the men that made me start listening to Fuji music. Because in those days I used to love Ijo yo yo, Ijo yo yo. Ladies and gentlemen, the irrepressible Chief Colloquium Ayinde, that you all call. Are you afraid to call it? That you all call Kebe Kwara or Allah? You're welcome, sir. God bless you. Thank you for coming to join us. I'd like to welcome. You know, one thing that Mayogu said that really gladdened my heart. You know, whenever you travel abroad, you hear Martin Luther King Jr. Day. You hear this person's day, that person's day. And it's time that we start celebrating our own heroes too. Because it's so painful that in Nigeria now we have started celebrating Halloween. We have started celebrating American Day in Nigeria. So when days like Fuji Day, like Barri Day comes, we should be happy to embrace it. And one of those that will help us first push it in Lagos is here. Let me welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture of the Center of Excellence and State of Aquatic Splendor, Princess Uzanat for Lashayo. Akin Yusuf. A round of applause to our ladies and gentlemen. Editor of Vision International, Mike Effiong, I greet you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to start that which we have come to do. To give our first keynote speech, but permit me to welcome a professor of performance studies with particular emphasis in dance studies and practice. He holds a PhD in performance studies from the Institute of African Studies, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. His other qualifications are LLB Honors in Common Law and LLM with Copyright Laws from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. He was called to Nigerian Bar in 2009 and has a Master's in Business Administration from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. He's also into active practice, propagation, and sustenance of Nigerian dance culture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome, to talk to us, one Nigerian that holds the singular honor of being the first Nigerian, the first professor of dance of the Faculty of Arts, first professor of dance in Yoruba history. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Jalil Olasukomi Ojuade. A round of applause for him, please. I'd like to welcome Dayo Odeyemi Barrister, who wrote a book on Agbaki and also Kemi Korede. Thank you very much.
I will try to rest on the protocol. I'm sure, as I mentioned, a lot of people will also try to. His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, ably represented by His Honorable, the Honorable Commissioner, our revered and eminent traditional rulers here present, the Mayogun of Yoruba land, I call it Mayogun of the world, of the universe, Alhaji King Wasiu Olasukomi Ayinde Gwangwan. Baba, Chief Adisa, CFA. Alhaji Kollington Ayinla, Baba Wali Kwara. Otuba Adebayo Olasoju, the Chairman, Isolo Local Government Development Authority. President, Fiji Musician Association of Nigeria, FUMA, and the entire members. Fuji Opera, Temple, Gold Mine, the entire family members of Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister, NFR, our highly respected fathers and mothers here present, distinguished members of the audience here present, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I say good afternoon and welcome to today's colloquium. With all sense of humility and respect, I need to thank the organizers for the invitation extended to me to be a part of this historic and important event. I'm excited standing in front of this audience, particularly our Fuji minstrels, who are great music ambassadors that we are proud of. Thank you, and I'm indeed grateful for the honor and privilege. Today's presentation reminds me of my teenage years, the earlier part of my life, when we were to listen with rapt attention to sonorous voice of Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister as he releases new albums, which of course were filled with deep Yoruba language, tinted with riddles, metaphors, innuendos, lyrics that are direct or indirect and filled with great entertaining vibes. At that tender age, I had the privilege of attending numerous occasions like today's and others, where not only the singing prayers of Alhaji Agba was only displayed, but his adroit leg and body movements in action. I'm sure you have seen him dancing. As a matter of fact, his and that of King Sunny Ade are incomparable back then. All these reshaped my thinking and knowledge of music and dance as practice and profession, and clearly showed that it takes a committed soul to pitch tent in our creative world, which is an aspect of human existence. Unlike language that has syntax and semantics vary from one country and culture to culture, music has been said to be a universal language, as what seems to be a piece of good music in Angola and what seems to be a piece of bad music in Netherlands may remain bad music in Nigeria. The way Hallelujah Chorus by George Handel will sound in Taipei is the same way it will sound if played in Taraba, because sounds that are produced do not change much across cultures. So emotions and ideas can universally translated and understood. His Excellencies, invited guests, our music ambassadors here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, how I wished this presentation tagged Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister's impactful musical exploits. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow was being done or showcased at an occasion celebrating the musical icon of our time, either through the joyful celebration of his life birthday, not posthumous, or a significant achievement while he was still alive. We shall then be able to understand better the veracity, complexity, and enormity of the work he has done in his creation of narratives around the world of Were has transformed to Fuji music genre. My presentation today further affirms that my youthful thought over 40 years ago, sitting consistently and patiently, listening to Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister's albums, has been released. His dexterity in his use of language, weaving of syllables in song, and blending same with admixture of instrumentations were extraordinary and amazing. Therefore, this session today will largely rest on his characterization using the 6 C's, 2 P's, and a T construct perceived through the prism of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I quietly broken them down as follows. The first one is to look at his compositions and renditions, followed by creativity and innovation, to be followed by composture and delivery. The next one is culture promotion and socialization quotient. Then we'll look at currency and relevance, followed by crusades, which will highlight his moral, social, religious, political, and economic crusades embedded in his lyrics. Then we'll look at philosophy and thematic depth. Then followed by performance practice. Then we look at his travels as Nigerian ambassador, which further exposed Fuji to the outside world. For a broader perspective and deep understanding of his travails and triumphs in the institutionalization of Fuji as a musical genre, let us take a peek into his bio. Mr. Fuji in proper context, content, and perspective. A peek into his bio. The late AARE Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister, MFR, MLC, AIMA, undoubtedly was the creator and garrison commander in chief of Fiji music. A globally acclaimed title. He was born into the family of Agbade Salami at Ayeye in Ibadan and Salawe family of Lagos Island on February 9, 1948 at Iga, Salawe, but grew up in Mushin. In an interview he granted Console Television as posted on YouTube on 04/12/2018. He narrated that his father was a popular musician in Ibadan while he was growing up in Lagos. He attended his elementary education at Mushin Mission School, Odiolo, Mushin, Lagos. He then proceeded to Yaba Polytechnic between 1961 and 1963. He became an Ajisari singer at tender age of 10 at Masawale area of Mushin. Sakara and Apala music were in vogue when he was growing up, particularly that of El Saka, Baba Olatunji Yusuf, and Haruna Ishola, which influenced his music career. Due to the religious and cultural factors, most of the Ajisari singers of his period either moved to genres like Apala, Sakara, or other professions. He was signed on at the age of 18 strictly as an Ajisari performer alongside Sonisai, Idowu Animashao, and Morufu Akande. It was at this point that Mansuru Akande. Okay. It was at this point that he was confronted with which name to call his own type of music, whether to call it Faji music. But he remembered that there was a mountain in Japan known as Mountain of Love, named after Fuji. He then decided to name his own after Fuji Mountain. His first record, single of 3 minutes, was released the same day King Sunny Ade released his in 1966 by the Niger Songs and African Song 2IC. He later joined the army in 1968 and fought at Odisha front, where he was wounded and sent back to resettlement center at Oshodi. He then retired from the army in 1974 to become a full-time musician. In 1976, after gaining wide acclaim with his 6th album, Ori Mi Ewo Ni Se O, he made Fiji music more popular through dedication, love, and interest. He was of the belief that anything worth doing at all is worth doing well, and he excelled all through. His characterization, composition, and rendition. Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister was highly gifted and talented. His voice modulation could be likened to that of hourglass drum in creation of pitch, and switching to different forms based on the knowledge and expertise of the handler. He had mastery of Yoruba language, Arabic knowledge, and that of other tribes in Nigeria in particular. He knew when to express such in composition and rendition. He was a genius, and not only a fantastic composer, but a great musician. His ability to modulate his voice to different pitches was peculiar to him. His recitation of verses from the Holy Quran guarantees a firm base he brought in from AARE. Essentially, Alaki Agba was on the spot composer who sang spontaneously and effortlessly, and one of his striking traits of character was his open adoration of his mother, himself, and his band boys. Barrister's high-pitched and silvery voice that he creatively modulated as he deemed fit for that moment, alongside his gripping style of eulogizing himself and his mother, magnetized me to him. I completely agree with one of my academic sons, Folon Shofatai Adisa, when he said, and I quote, "I particularly envied Sikiru Ayinde's genuine adoration of his mother, Aja Ode Sifau, where others could be pedestrian or not totally with it. A submissive listener could feel the passion, the pain, and the joy of mommy's boy attempting to envelope his love fully addressed to his mom in just a song. That was the man, Barrister. At any time, never he is an inexhaustive affection for his mother. For every time the late minstrel mentioned his mom's first name, Ode, in a song, his voice amazingly pitched differently with the superb, extraordinary instruments that support it every time. Suffice to say that the love of a son for his mom is powerfully different, unexplainable, and incomparable. Eventually, the son is a star. The love becomes even enigmatic. Or is there any Odere anywhere else in this world that you may have known other than Akia Sifao Odere? Ode. I greatly agree with his submission that Mama was all in all to Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister. His creativity and innovation. He was a fantastic creator and had flair for innovative ideas. For instance, he introduced the application of piano to Fuji music in performance. It really amplified the sound and performance as demonstrated in Fuji Garbage series. We know it has series. The display of adaptation of different musical formats and instrumentation kept him at the top till he died. In addition, he leveraged on visual power by having a video release of his songs where he demonstrated his skill of dance, stepping with permanent dancers, interacting or displaying or explaining whatever he's singing to the audience. His composure and delivery. In performance or through his albums as released, he had grips and control of the moments. As he gets onto the stage for performance, the atmosphere changes. He was confident of himself and straight. He had powerful delivery strategies, which his band boys and girls understood. At times, he can talk sing or pre-sing for a long period or of time before the real actions commences. On the other hand, if his band boys overrun him, he brings them back stylishly. Maybe the body just come down. Here, he could as well take on the lineage of his endear. For example, one who is from Onikoyi family, or Tapa origin, or Istana, or himself sometimes. For example, he said, Elegu nini, chayo mola miti ekuje mini layeye. He was trying to let them know that Elegu nini. Another example was his humor in action. And it's Ankara, maybe there is an occasion whereby we have anko, and if you don't have anko, they won't serve you. And it's Ankara, what a humor. Culture promotion and socialization question. Culture is the totality of human life. As part of this promotion of culture, he synchronized different cultures of the world without barriers. In fact, he ascribed total respect for culture, particularly when singing the praises of kings, lineages, or highly praised individuals. Sometimes, if Sikiru Ayinde Barrister sees a king, he will remove his cap and kneel down. What a humility in display. Sometimes, he will remove his cap, kneel down for his kings while he sang praises of such personalities as a mark of respect as directed by the Yoruba culture. In an interview in 1988, he confirmed that he had 25 chieftaincy titles from different parts of Nigeria. Currency and relevance. His albums address relevant and significant aspects of economy, well-being, moral, sport, current and contemporary issues. It was to guide and correct anomalies among the people or to address topical issues. Barrister built his brilliance at singing Fuji on philosophy and current affairs. Consequently, his song remains relevant from the time of release till today. For example, his cosmopolitan personality, like in many other tracks, surfaced in 1990 vinyl titled Extravaganza, where he noted that his music is an artistic composition and distinctive sound, from mentioning the names, famous and highly placed places in Europe and America, such as London, Kensington, Britain, and so on, to his mentioning of eminent people and luxury brands of his time, such as Polorosi, Maradona, Rujamila, Jacquard, Christian Dior, 29 Karati, Tyson hairstyle, also, etc. One cannot but agree that Saab was cosmopolitan and current. Crusades. His music dwelled largely on moral, social, religious, political, and economic crusades as embedded in lyrics. All these were employed to achieve changes. A religious fanatic of Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister's song will understand the rationale behind the Alhaji Aga's opening lines in his track titled Extravaganza, where he noted, and I quote, "Agberewade, awa loloju orin tuntun, ní Please don't mind I'm not like you. I really say what he was not needless pontificating. Rather, he was sure of his brilliance at what he was doing. He was not needless just speaking Yoruba or creating Yoruba proverbs, but to affirm his actions. Indeed, he was truly the Fuji commandant, as he claimed. Among many social crusades he championed, one stood out in terms of foresightedness and evergreenness, family planning. The economy was not in its bad shape when Barrister advocated for smaller and manageable family sizes, so we don't end up bleeding out, thugs, thieves, and other social miscreants in our society. Our refusal to heed the early warning signal flagged off by Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister is reality of an ubiquitous presence of such elements in our urban areas today. The prophet in him saw it coming, sounded a note of warning, but we failed to heed. Had we listened to him, issues of insecurities of lives and properties wouldn't have been the way it is now. Again, many of his songs were directed at the ruling class, counseling them to have the love of other people, particularly the downtrodden and the earth. Barrister gave a voice to the voiceless and advocated societal changes and betterment in his musical exploits, his philosophy and thematic depth. One of the strongest philosophy of approach was his ability to balance the religious sects in order to appreciate his type of music at the beginning, and he was to maintain the stance till he died. He had Islamic background and well versed in Arabic language, which forms his normal opening of any performance or album. But he was quick to extend such to Christianity and traditional belief systems. It was relayed that when Barrister decided to take a purely religious sound to the social circuit, he met a solid brick wall of resistance. After performing for fellow soldiers and their close friends, he got his big breakthrough when a well-known socialite on Martin Street, Alhaji Gadubi, decided to give him a chance at a party that only the caliber of Alhaji Haruna Ishola and Yusuf Olatuji were engaged to perform. Because Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister knew that he had very slim chance to impress this high-end socialite, he decided to play the songs of popular artists of that time in his own way, using his nuances. This ensured that no matter your preference, Barry will cover it, sometimes better than the original version. He reverted to a strategy as 80-20 principles, 80% covered songs and 20% original composition, a system adopted by most of the upcoming musicians till today. Performances practice. Alhaji Agba's performance style usually opens up with praises of the Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and gradually slide into personal praises and then the initial dance. He had a way of regulating the tempo, even control the dancing crowd in front of him. He would just tell them, so that they can just, create a breathing space for him. One of his winning strategies is the fact that he held tenaciously to the music lovers without any discrimination or segregation or class differential. He related with the high and low, the professionals and the ordinary citizens, irrespective of the status of such beings. He was a man of the people. In performance, he randomly picked any suitable method of singing, either proverbial, praise singing, prayers, and others depending on the audience. For example, he used Owuro Olawa to preach using Akuko Gagara to capture the living life from adolescent to adulthood, where we crawl using both the legs and hands when we were very young, and as studying to graduate to using 2 legs as adults, with the introduction of the 3rd leg at old age. His travels as Nigerian ambassador, which further exposed Fuji to the outside world. He was widely traveled, locally, nationally, and internationally. He was on standby and featured among his local communities, entertaining his fans depending on the occasion, ranging from housewarming, wedding receptions, chieftains' title takings, coronation ceremonies, and others. In addition, he embarked on several international tours and got series of awards, with particular mention in US in 1979, UK, Scotland, France, 1993, Germany, Amsterdam, Switzerland, US, 94, Canada, among others. In conclusion, when Sikiru Ayinde Barrister was alive, he was both a star and god of music, Fuji music. When he died, he remained a star, and at the same time, he turned an ancestor in the pantheon of all time. Great star musicians who are illustrating this world like colossi that they were, Alhaji Aga had the voice, the looks. He was commendably confident, and he had gripping and hair-friendly sound. Of course, today's event and several others being organized in his honor within and outside Nigeria clearly demonstrated or evidenced his sojourn on earth and is qualified to borrow Julius Caesar's word, Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, and I conquered for Alhaji Sikiru Ayinde Barrister. Recommendation. His Excellencies, our great ambassadors of music industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister represents today great numbers of our fallen heroes, particularly in the creative world, who left the shore of this world without deserved honor. Honor is superlative in the superlative sense. If not for the magnanimity of the organizers of this event and other ones, in about 10-20 years' time, the generations born then might not be privy to know this talented and enigmatic personality. Having been duly recognized nationally by the federal government of Nigeria, while alive with the award of MFR, I call on the state governors of Lagos and Oyo to assist in facilitating and constructing a gigantic destination Fuji in honor of Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister MFR. Having done you honor by projecting your culture and taking your names and placing them on global maps, Ayeye in Ibadan and Salaw in Lagos. I strongly believe that such projects will generate revenues for the state and the entire Fuman. It will be a tourist destination. Once again, I thank the organizers of this event for the invitation and everyone being here for the rapt attention. Long live Fuman, long live Nigeria, and Sikiru Ayinde Barrister.
Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Colloquium, can I have a round of applause for you?
Thank you very much. I've been told to